man, just some recap from the from this past week's action. Not going to get too deep into it. We had an odd week of football in week 16 because we had Christmas and there was a Christmas Day game on Friday, but then we also saw a triple header on Saturday, excuse me, and that's 2 weeks in a row we've had Saturday games. And we don't normally do that until playoffs. I know usually the last week of the season they'll throw a couple of games on Saturday, but we've now done it 2 weeks in a row, weeks 15 and 16. So I'm not arguing about Saturday football, but with the lack of college football, I guess it makes more sense having Saturday football. And I saw a graphic on, I think it was Sunday Night Football or maybe it was Saturday football, that now because of our Friday game with Christmas, we have now had a game every single day of the week in 2020. We've had a Monday night game, a Tuesday night game, a Wednesday night game because of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh moving. Thursday night, obviously. Friday, Christmas. We had Saturday games last week. We had Saturday games the week before. And then our typical Sunday. So we've had 7 days, all 7 days covered in 2020, which is hilarious. I don't think we're going to see that again for a long time. But just a little recap. We had our Friday night game. Saints absolutely just destroyed the Vikings, and I want to congratulate Alvin Kamara on tying an NFL record, 6 touchdowns. I know fantasy owners in championship rounds were extremely happy with his performance. Quite a few people in championship rounds had Alvin Kamara on their team. I know for me, I missed out because I started Keenan Allen over Corey Davis last week. So I was out of my championship. And I also started Kyler Murray over Tom Brady Tom Brady over Kyler Murray last week, and that sunk me. So, but anyway, Alvin Kamara, excellent job. Congratulations. Completely amazing, dominant game for you. And I don't want to get into the whole he should have had 7, blah, blah, blah. Sean Payton let Taysom Hill run. I don't care. Dude, he had 6. I don't care. He's still tied for first place. His name is still in the record books. He had 6 freaking rushing touchdowns in a game. And if you think that Alvin Kamara can't do that again in a game, you haven't watched him play football. The triple header we had for Saturday, we had the Bucs absolutely embarrassing the Lions. I'm not even going to get into that because it was a complete wash. Tom Brady didn't even have to play the second half. 49ers took down the Cardinals, which was a little bit of a shock. And Kyler Murray got a little banged up at the end of the game. And the Dolphins snuck out a win over the Raiders in spectacular Ryan Fitzmagic fashion. Tua was pulled again in the fourth quarter, and Fitzy led a game-winning drive. And, they won. Starting off with Sunday, we had the Colts-Steelers game in the morning, which was what I thought was going to be the Colts absolutely mud-stomping the Steelers, which started that way for the first half. They tied it up 7-7 to begin with, but the Steelers' offense just couldn't do anything, and Jonathan Taylor was just running wild on the Pittsburgh defense. And shame on Indy for not staying with Jonathan Taylor. They could have had that game on lockdown. Pittsburgh's offense didn't wake up until about halfway through the third quarter, when all of a sudden Ben started calling the plays because Randy Fichtner sucks and doesn't deserve to be an offensive coordinator and calling plays. So Ben took over and they moved the ball, and he threw 3 touchdowns and 300 plus yards. They did 4 touchdowns. No, it was 3 touchdowns. They did what they were doing earlier in the year. Simple as that. Steelers end up pulling out the win 28-24. The Chiefs-Falcons game was a lot closer than what a lot of people would have preferred, I guarantee. Chiefs barely squeaked one out over the Falcons, the bad Falcons. But, I mean, come on, it was the Falcons. They were up 14-10 in the fourth quarter. What do you think they were going to do? You think they were going to pull that out? Oh, hell no. Chiefs came back and won it. we had the Jaguars Bears, and that was Bears. That was Mitch Trubisky looking like Tom Brady. It really was. Mitch Trubisky, I'm not a Mitch Trubisky hater. I never have been. In fact, I've probably defended him more times than some of his fans even have. And I'm not a Mitch Trubisky fan. Okay? But I also don't believe that he's as bad of a quarterback as a lot of people say. And since he got a second shot this year, he's looked a lot better. And I think a lot of Bears fans can agree with me on that. And he's made better decisions. He's been throwing the ball more accurately. His receivers have been coming down with the ball. The game plan's been better. And he's looked better. He actually looks more confident. I don't know if it's just me that sees that, but he actually looks more confident in his throws, which, yeah. I mean, you need that as a quarterback. If you don't have the confidence, you ain't going nowhere. And that's usually when a defense will key on you, is when you don't look confident. Mitch Trubisky's looking confident. I actually wouldn't mind seeing him take the Bears to the playoffs just so that I could see how he plays against a good defense. I do think that he could move the ball. Then we had the surprise Bengals taking down the Texans, even though, I mean, come on, they were both 3 and 4 win teams at the time, and now they're 4 and 10 and 1 and 4 and 11. Bengals were riding high off the victory over the Steelers, and the Texans, Deshaun Watson is playing lights out ball. And if any of you guys did not see J.J. Watt's press conference after the game, Google it. That man has my utmost respect, always will, and I love the fact that he's calling out people in the NFL for lack of effort. Now, if that was directed at teammates, coaches, whatever the case may be, he's a leader on that team. They need to frickin' listen to him. Ravens laid the wood to the Giants. Kind of predicted. I didn't really expect anything other than the run game just running wild on the Giants. The Giants suck. Ravens are playing a lot better than they were, during their COVID era, and the couple weeks before that, they actually looked really bad for a couple weeks stretch there, and now they're looking better. They're looking into playoff form. We'll call it that. They're looking into AFC North football is what they're turning into again. Browns lost to the Jets. Probably, I don't know if I would call it the shock game of the weekend, given that the Jets just beat the Rams. But it was a funny shock. I had the Browns pegged to win. I did. I'm not going to lie. I thought the Browns would win that game. And I thought they'd win that game based on the point that they were still fighting for the potential of being AFC North champions. And under the impression that they probably figured that the Steelers were going to lose to Indy. And the Jets came out and had a different idea. And the Browns had to play from behind the whole game. Good for the Jets. I like the moxie the team has shown the last several weeks. Basically telling Adam Gase, stick it up your ass. We're going to win some games. We're not going to look like, trailer trash, even though you're going to be gone next year. They've got some guys who are fighting, and I respect that. Panthers took down the Washington football team, which was a little bit of a shock to me. I actually had the Washington football team pegged to win this one. And I kind of think that had Haskins not started the game, they probably could have won that game. Because Haskins looked like hot garbage during the game. And it was a little shocking that there was no sense of urgency for him in the game, knowing that their playoff lives were on the line, because had they won this game, they essentially would have locked in the playoff spot. Panthers won 20-13. Chargers Broncos, despite Anthony Lynn's best efforts, his team won again. 19-16 over the Broncos. I really hope, I've said this, beating a dead horse at this point, but I really hope Anthony Lynn's not back next year, because he's going to kill Justin Herbert. He's going to ruin Justin Herbert's career. Cowboys absolutely thumped the Eagles, 37-17. I hope this puts to bed how bad Carson Wentz was, because Jalen Hurts didn't look any better. Sure, he had a couple of good throws. The Deshaun Jackson touchdown, yeah, he had a couple of good throws. And go back in every single game, Carson Wentz has a couple of good throws too. Now maybe people will realize they're just a bad team with a bad coach. Simple as that. Eagles officially eliminated from the playoffs because of that loss. Seahawks drubbing the Rams 20-9. And I don't want to blame this on Jared Goff's injured thumb. I don't even know what point of the game that happened. But the Rams they did not look like they were fighting for a playoff spot. Their defense was playing well until the fourth quarter, but they did not look like they were in any sense of get up and go, hey, this is a division rival. We need to stick it to these guys because we already beat them once. It kind of looked like they were the little puppy that thinks that they've done good, and so they kind of roll over and waiting for the belly rub, and that's about it. And it's so sad because the Rams are a talented team. They really are. They got a good run game. They got good wide receivers. They've got an incredible defense. Aaron Donald is a true monster. Yeah. Goff's going to be out this week because of his broken thumb, so it sounds like Andy Warhol, I don't know what the hell his name was, John Wolford, I think his name is, starting for him this week. Yeah. Never seen an NFL snap. Played in the AAF, I think somebody said. AFL, whatever it was. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game this weekend. Green Bay Packers shellacking the Titans was, I don't want to say cool to see, but Aaron Rodgers was in a snowstorm playing incredibly well. And I will say this, I did not know A.J. Dillon was that good of a running back. That kid is a frickin' stud. That is a bulldozer. He is Derrick Henry-esque if you want to comp him to somebody in today's NFL. That kid is a beast. I hope he sees more playing time. That guy just wrecking ball. Man, some of the hits he was laying on safeties and even linebackers and cornerbacks when they were trying to tackle him. Whew. The hell out of his way. Demolition Derby right there. That's going to be his new nickname. We need to start calling him AJ Demo Derby. Yeah, I like that. AJ Demo Derby. And then the Monday night game, no shock. Bills thumped the Patriots 38-9 in Bill Belichick's worst season as a head coach, for the Patriots, I should say. Josh Allen looked like an MVP candidate. He did. I'm not going to lie. He wasn't on my MVP radar really more than a couple of games this year. He's a baller. Kid's good. He is. Now, Stephon Diggs is an animal, and that helps a lot. And everybody else on the team kind of fell off a little bit, but Diggs commands so much attention it frees up a lot of other guys. But yeah, they're looking good. I do think the Bills could make a deep playoff run. I think that I don't want to say they're necessarily the best suited to beat the Chiefs, but I think they could give the Chiefs a game. I don't think the Bills' defense is good enough to stymie a team like the Chiefs. If we were talking about Week 8 Steelers, the way their offense was moving, the way their defense was playing, if they still had Bud Dupree and they still had Devin Bush, yeah, I could see that being a hell of a slugfest between those two teams. I think the Chiefs' defense and the Steelers' offense at the time matched up very well, so it would have been a give and take. And I think the Chiefs' offense and the Steelers' defense, both being some of the best in the NFL, would have been a good matchup to watch. And it would have been a give and take. And I think it would have been a rather low-scoring competitive game, but obviously we're not going to see that because out of the last 5 weeks, other than about a quarter and a half of football, the Steelers' offense forgot how to frickin' move the ball. And their defense is just riddled right now with injuries, and it's tough. So I honestly right now I kind of think the Chiefs have an easy path to the Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be a damn good game with either three of the top teams in the NFC. You put the Seahawks against them, as long as the Seahawks defense doesn't go back to Week 10 defense. You put the Green Bay current defense, how they're playing, and New Orleans as they get their offense going. I think you could see pretty dang good football game there in the Super Bowl if it ends up being Chiefs versus one of those three. So